Previously on Beyond Borders, we're hearing news, right? There's going to be a 5% tax on any remittances coming into India, especially from the US. 5%. We'll just move our money right now and then we'll figure it out.
Radhika Gupta, CEO of Edelweiss Mutual Fund, she has a 2-year-old son, Remy, and she has a 10 crore budget in mind for him when he goes to college.
10 crores. Gosh, I need to go look at mine now.
Once you move all your money back, India tries really hard to keep money inside, and that's where a place like Gift City comes in really well, because even though Gift City is geographically inside India, it is legally a separate jurisdiction. So you can move your money and keep it in dollars in Gift City and have the comfort that it is governed by an Indian regulator under the Indian Constitution.
Correct.
There is a 30% tax on all crypto profits, regardless of what your tax bracket is. But as I said, the tax system tries its hardest to dissuade you from trading in crypto.
In this final episode, we're going beyond numbers to address the life decisions that truly matter, from medical tourism and inheritance planning to the emotional journey of relocation. Plus, we'll answer your burning questions about managing life between two homes. Now, another favorite topic that a lot of people talk about is like medical tourism in India. A lot of folks, myself included, would travel to India to get a root canal treatment done. That's how it was. And insurance here was so much simpler to get than abroad. So what are your thoughts about it? I mean, two questions here about, what is the nature of an insurance purchase one needs to make here if it's even required? And secondly, what are your thoughts about insurance if someone's thinking about coming here for medical reasons? Are there specific investment or not investment, but purchasing tools available for them?
So insurance is not required, but it's sensible to have. There are two kinds, life and health. For life, you only buy it, and that too only term insurance. If you have financial dependents, there are other kinds of life insurance which banks aggressively sell and mis-sell, endowment policies. Please avoid those. They are usually insurance policies which combine insurance and investment, and they do neither well. They're filled with commission, so that's a definite no-no. Coming to health insurance, it's sensible to have as early in life as possible, and it's open to NRIs. In fact, NRIs don't have to pay GST on health insurance. It's a little bit complicated to have the insurance company not deduct GST, but that provision is there. What happens if you buy early is a couple of things. One is that your pre-existing diseases, those periods get over. So essentially, there are these periods within which the insurance company can reject your claim, saying that you already had this disease, pre-existing disease. But usually after 3 years, those periods go away. The second thing that happens is you get a no-claim bonus. For every year that you don't claim on your insurance policy, the policy tends to increase. And your chances of rejection also come down because they see your behavior, they realize you're not scamming them. So, you have a smoother experience. So it really makes sense to buy insurance in India. Medical tourism also makes a lot of sense. I come from a family of doctors, and the cost differences are huge. And the quality of service, honestly, maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I don't think there's that much difference between doctors in India, and usually it's the same doctors, right? They go abroad and serve people there.
Yeah. No, personal experiences, I would choose an Indian hospital, an Indian medical service any day over any other place abroad, because the level of care and the professionalism that you see here is unprecedented anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Now, that brings me to another question. We typically think of trusts when we're looking at estate planning, right? We're writing all of those gory details about life after and all that. How would somebody have to think about that in terms of being an NRI with property here in India or any investments here in India? What would your suggestions be for them?
So thankfully, India does not have an inheritance tax. That's one advantage we have over many other Western jurisdictions. In fact, a lot of Indians who invest abroad, who are Indian residents, they're quite surprised to know that US has an inheritance tax above $60,000 if you're
and a big percentage.
Yeah. If you're a non-resident alien, as in if you're an Indian resident. So I think from a succession point of view, India that way is quite straightforward. You just need to ensure you have a will just properly registered, 2 witnesses so that it can't be challenged easily in court. It will work for any property you have in India.
Got it. So any kind, there is it, and you really don't need a stamp paper or anything anymore at this
So
point.
under the law, a will is valid even if it's written on a plain piece of paper, even a tissue paper. If you write a will, perfectly valid. There have to be two witnesses, however, but you still need to make it bulletproof against legal challenges from other people who may not be happy with it. So that's where registration comes in. It's not compulsory, but it's good to do.
I see. And this applies even for people who are not resident
Yes,
Indians and
yes,
everybody. It's
yes.
the rule applies for all.
Oh, yes.
Now we're talking about, life here in India and all of that. When we moved back to India, I think a part of us was sure and glad that we were back. And there was the other part was like, I am not so sure about it. And that was where we made certain unstable financial decisions, right? We didn't know which way we wanted to lean in. So at that point, when somebody's at that
Got
juncture,
it.
what would you
Got it.
recommend?
Sure. So from a financial point of view, there are two things to keep in mind. So India has this nice transition tax status called RNOR, resident but not ordinarily resident. In this status, which can last up to 3 years since your return to India, you are not taxed on your foreign income and you don't have to disclose your foreign assets. And this is the chance given to you by the Indian government to straighten out your finances. Maybe if you want to just move everything back to India, you can. If you want to simplify it, if you have very complex structures abroad, you can do that. Because once you become ROR, resident and ordinary resident in India, then you have to disclose all of your foreign assets, pay tax in India on all of your foreign assets. And the law is very, very strict about disclosure. If you miss out on things even inadvertently, there are very severe penalties. I understand the need to sort of keep money abroad, and that's a valid choice to make. But if it's overly complex, try and simplify it a bit while you are still RNOR before you become ROR.
So Neil, now it's the audience asks questions. We have a lot of subscribers who've come in. They knew you were coming. They were excited. So we have a bunch of questions they've asked. So I'd love your opinion on them.
Fire away.
All right. So first one. Hey Neil, I'm a developer from San Francisco. I'm curious to know what are some of the most overlooked tax saving strategies for NRIs in the US?
In terms of their Indian investments, I would assume so.
Yeah.
So I would think the biggest one is NPS. Because NPS, unlike many products, is open to NRIs. There is minimum paperwork, change of KYC documents, etc. And in India, until you hit the age of 60, it does not mature. So whatever gains you make in the NPS, they are free of tax. Once you hit the age of 60, 60% of that amount corpus is tax-free. And it's the same for residents and NRIs. There is no discrimination. The remaining 40% has to be used to buy an annuity. And the annuity is taxable, but the annuity is spread out over so many years. So it's that way not a big burden. And you can put most of it into equity, 75%. That's another big benefit.
Okay, another one. So Neil, as someone who's planning a move back to India, what should I do with my investments and accounts before permanently moving back?
So as we discussed before, there is this status called RNOR status. When you move back, it can range from the initial 1 year to 3 years, depending on how many days you spent in India in the prior 7 years. So while you are in the RNOR status, you can do this simplification. So let's say that in the US, you have lots of different kinds of investments. You have a 401k, you have money in US mutual funds, you have something in property, maybe you have something in crypto, or you have companies that you own, very, very complex stuff. So what will happen when you move to India and become a resident of India is you'll have to disclose all of that every year to the Indian tax authorities. And some of those disclosures might get really complicated. So use these 1 to 3 years to simplify, and then you can go ahead and move back. I would say don't move everything to India, because then pulling it out becomes an issue. Move what you really need in the first several years.
Hi Neil, I've been reviewing my estate planning and could use your expert take. I'm an NRI based in Riyadh with property holdings in Navi Mumbai. Thinking about whether I should diversify further, explore different real estate avenues, or perhaps look into REITs. What's your view on balancing these options?
So REITs are a great low effort way of investing in real estate in India. real estate investment trusts, they invest in commercial property that is spread out across India, and you get the rental yield. Like we discussed earlier, however, the taxation is a bit complex because of how they distribute their cash flows, rent, interest, dividends, etc. So even better than REITs is putting money in a mutual fund which puts money in REITs. If you want to buy physical property, you have to deal with a lot of hassles around um, the TDS that's deducted, then finding somebody to manage the flat. With land, there are restrictions. You can't buy agricultural. So you have to really be careful about it.
Yep. So, hey, Neil, just moved to UAE for work. And honestly, this whole DTAA tax relief thing is confusing as hell. How do I even start figuring out the fine print and all the details? Feels overwhelming, but I got to crack this. Any tips? So he's moved to UAE.
So you are one of the lucky few because UAE has no income tax, and the DTAA between India and UAE has this residual clause where your mutual fund capital gains are taxable in UAE, and because UAE has no income tax, you don't pay any tax. And there was a decision of the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal, the ITAT, which reaffirmed this position recently. But that said, you can have direct stocks in India also. You can have property in India also. So those things you will have to make sure you check the DTA properly. But your life is a lot easier than NRIs in most other countries.
Most other countries. No taxes. That's fun. All right, another one. Please share a practical approach to 401k withdrawal and transfer to India. There's no single reliable source of information that confidently explains the process. All provide possible options, but not much real life experience. Even IRS does not have a good or practical outline for aliens.
So that's a very interesting one. I think many people in the US retiring in the US or moving from the US to India would have 401ks or IRAs and other kinds of pensions. And the complication comes in, you need to disclose them in the Indian income tax return. So thankfully, things have moved in a beneficial direction over the past few years there. So in the 2024 budget, the finance minister introduced a provision where she said that if you inadvertently make a mistake up to 20 lakhs, we will not put a penalty on you. Earlier, even a few thousand rupees of mistake could land you up in a lot of trouble with the income tax department. But more than anything else, you still have to be very careful about disclosing everything in India.
Got it. But withdrawals or transfers rules still apply. You got to withdraw there and then move it.
Yeah. So there is a bit of complication with how US pension funds are taxed in India. You will have to consult a CA to figure out the exact taxation. But all I would say at this point is just keep the disclosure. As long as you disclose, the taxation, your CA will help you with.
And that's a wrap on Beyond Borders. From investment strategies to life's big decisions, Neil has shown us why he's Mint's go-to expert on personal finance. To our NRI community, take these insights, apply them to your unique journey, and remember, you're never alone in navigating life between two worlds. Stay tuned to NRI Shaala for more. Until next time, keep building that cross-border success story.